Hi, welcome back to the Peterson Automotive Museum YouTube channel. I'm Jonee Eisen, Associate Curator here at the museum, and today we are going to look at a legendary concept car from the 1970s, the Aston Martin Bulldog. Bulldog made its debut in 1980. Like I said, it was a concept car. It's the only one ever built, although Aston Martin did have thoughts of making it a limited production car with only about 15 to 25 built. But the expense and complexity of this car limited it to just the concept. And the whole idea behind it was as a way to show off Aston Martin's engineering and design capability.
In fact, as to the price, Aston Martins have said it will be for sale at the right price, whatever that is. But it wasn't built with selling in mind, it's to show that Aston Martin can build the ultimate road-going supercar.
They wanted this car to be the first production car to reach 200 miles an hour. It has an Aston Martin V8 with twin turbochargers, and unfortunately it only made it to 191 miles per hour, so it couldn't have that bragging rights of being the first 200-mile-an-hour production car, and that maybe was one of the reasons why it didn't go into production. Now, of course, what's distinctive about it mostly is the way it looks. It's a almost brutalist take on the wedge movement. This car is up on the second floor in our new exhibit, the Wedge Revolution, where we have a host of cars from the wedge movement starting in the 1960s up through the 1980s. So what was the wedge movement? Well, pretty obviously it was a bunch of cars in the middle of the 20th century that were shaped like wedges, pointing at the front, thick in the rear. And this whole movement started in the 1960s as a reaction to cars that were built around World War II. The predominant style of cars in the middle of the 20th century was rounded shapes, kind of bulbous cars. French coach builders were extremely influential around the war. They produced cars with what they felt was the perfect aerodynamic shape, which was the teardrop. And of course, this had an outsized influence, especially on European cars. In America, we had designers like Harley Earl, who were interested in the same thing. Very rounded cars, no sharp edges. And Earl also loved lots of chrome. He was the one who really was a proponent of big tail fins. And in around late 1950s, early 1960s, Earl retired. In Europe, there were new taxes on luxury cars, which meant a lot of the French coach builders went out of business. And that kind of opened the door for a new generation of young designers who wanted to take things in a totally new direction. Instead of curves, they were attracted to straight lines. Instead of smooth edges, they were attracted to sharp corners. And they thought that the wedge was the shape of the future. They saw it as aerodynamic and a totally new way of looking at the shape of the automobile. So leading the wedge movement were a lot of Italian designers, Giugiaro, Marcello Gandini, Sergio Coggiola, and they used the wedge shape in a very elegant way. You had cars like the Lamborghini Countach and the Lancia Stratos, which had very fine kind of pointed noses and a lot of the sharp edges like I was talking about earlier. In England, we had a guy like William Towne.
William, apart from the fact that I can't see anywhere to put my luggage, I really can't fault the car. But what kind of problems do you as a designer have when somebody comes along and says, design the ultimate supercar?
Oh, the problems are generally one of dimension.
Who designed cars like the Aston Martin Lagunda, where he took a much more brutalist approach to the wedge. These cars, as we can see with the Bulldog, used a bit of a thicker front end, a little bit of a blunter look, and a really much tougher kind of treatment of the wedge. When we look at this car, the Bulldog name is very appropriate. This thing really looks like it could drive through a brick wall and was quite a unique and almost spaceship-like shape and way of looking at the wedge. So this car has a lot of very unique design features. Under this panel right here, we have 5 headlights, and the lights are underneath.
Two particular changes were that we found it possible, instead of having conventional lift-up lamps, to lower the bonnet area and have fixed lamps behind, giving better stability of light beam.
It also has these gigantic powered gull-wing doors that are really unlike anything else I've ever seen. The car is really long. It's 15.5 feet long, and yet only a 2-seater with that huge V8 engine mid-mounted. Doesn't really give lots of room for a big passenger compartment, but it is well apportioned. Luxurious leather seats. It has a full electronic dashboard. This car was meant to be at the peak of technology, luxury, and kind of a new way of looking at performance cars. Like I said, it was designed to go over 200 miles an hour. Aston Martin even said that theoretically it could get up to 237 miles an hour. The engine made about 600 horsepower, but they imagined with the right tuning that could be increased to about 700. They never did quite get it there, as I said, but the car was recently restored, and with modern technology and kind of modern know-how, they did manage to make this car go over 200 miles an hour.
Today was about realizing a promise made 40 years ago come true.
This is very exciting to me. I'm nervous, I'm excited. Do I have butterflies? Yes, but hopefully I brought a big enough net. And I think today is about making dreams come true.
After
205.
Knew she could do it.
Richard Gauntlet oversaw the restoration. His father ran Aston Martin when, on cost grounds, plans to put the car into production were cancelled.
A lot of people talk about their childhood posters. Well, this is my childhood poster, made real with huge parts of my family history and meeting this original team and a lot of hard work.
This unique car finally realising its potential. Lorna Gordon, BBC News, Machrihanish in Argyll.
Almost 50 years later, it did realize Aston Martin's dream. This car really looks like nothing else on the road. A lot of people kind of think it's a face only a mother could love. And when you first look at it, it is pretty shocking. You're like, I don't know if this thing is beautiful or ugly or what. But living with it here at the museum and seeing it every day, it's really kind of made me quite affectionate for it. I mean, this car was visionary. It really didn't look like anything ever produced by Aston Martin or almost any other car company. William Townes loved the wedge shape, and like I said earlier, he had his own take on it.
Very early in its life, in the sketching life, as you see, the rear wheel was covered in both cases, but one problem with such a very long wheelbase is that it's easy to make it look like an express train.
And he also produced several wedge-shaped small car concepts, the Minissima.
Well, this one, William, is the Minissima, isn't it? And I can remember reporting on this from a motor show as long ago as when would that have been?
1973.
The Microdot.
Only 6 feet 7 inches long, the Microdot has to be one of my favourite William Townes designs, even though it isn't glamorous as such.
And so he really saw this not just as a cool style, but as something that was very efficient. He used the wedge to make a really efficient packaging for tiny cars. And obviously he saw it as something that was very aerodynamic, something that would be great for a performance car because the aerodynamics obviously would help it with a high top speed. So this design, as wild as it is, really exemplifies the whole wedge movement. It's a lot of flat planes. We see sort of no extra jewelry on the car. There's really no chrome. By the late 1970s, chrome was seen as very passé. Some American cars still had them, but the European cars obviously did not. We can see how the windshield and the front nose of the car give us almost sort of one straight line to the roof, which is something that was very important to designers who loved wedges. So that's the incredible Aston Martin Bulldog. I'm Jonee Eisen. Thanks for watching. When you're in Los Angeles, please come visit us here at the Peterson Automotive Museum. And to stay up to date on all our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel.